He's pulling away, snapping over tiny things. Or maybe he's just flatlined on the couch, scrolling into oblivion. You've chalked it up to a tough quarter at work, Mercury being in retrograde, or maybe that new protein powder you bought him. But what if it's none of the above? What if the distance you feel, the silence that's growing between you, isn't about him at all? It's about you. More specifically, it's about 3 everyday habits that you have, accidentally, been using to stab his masculine core. The good news? You can stop the bleeding. If you can recognize and ditch these habits before August 2025, the dynamic, present, and protective man who once picked you up in the kitchen like it was nothing can make a stunning comeback. The clock is ticking. Let's get to work. 8 out of 10 women I coach start their first session with the exact same story, sometimes using the exact same words. 6 months or a year ago, he was my rock. He was protective, decisive, totally present with me. They describe a man who made them feel safe, a man whose direction they trusted. Fast forward to today, and that same man is described as checked out, fragile, chronically irritated, or lost. They're confused, hurt, and they've tried everything. More date nights, less nagging, even therapy. But 9 times out of 10, the root cause isn't his job, his childhood, or a midlife crisis. It's the 1,000 tiny cuts they didn't even know they were making. These aren't big, obvious betrayals. They're subtle, quiet, and absolutely devastating to his spirit. Do you want to see the knife you've been holding? Keep watching. Drop the eye roll toward masculine energy. The first habit is the most common and the most corrosive. The subtle and sometimes not so subtle contempt for raw, masculine energy. We've all done it, often without realizing the damage. We've labeled his ambition as toxic masculinity. We've rolled our eyes when he defaults to problem-solving mode instead of just listening. We've cracked jokes about mansplaining while he's genuinely trying to share his perspective or protect you from a mistake. These reactions, however small they seem, send a singular, brutal message. Your very essence isn't safe here. The core of who you are as a man is wrong, silly, or outdated. His system, faced with this constant critique, does the only logical thing it can to survive. Half of him slams on the brakes to avoid further judgment, and the other half pulls the emergency exit on emotional intimacy. Voila. You're left with an emotional ghost town. His drive, his desire to build, to protect, to achieve. This is not toxicity. It's the engine of his masculine core. When he's competitive, it's often his way of testing himself against the world to ensure he can provide. When he goes silent to think, he's not stonewalling you. He's often trying to find a solution, to process a threat, or to make sense of chaos internally, so he doesn't burden you with it. These are primal instincts. Mocking them is like mocking a lion for hunting. You're telling him the very thing that makes him a man is unwelcome in his own home. And a man who feels disrespected at home will either shut down or seek respect elsewhere. He'll stop bringing you his ideas, his victories, and eventually his heart. Try this instead. The next time his masculine energy shows up in a way that triggers you, maybe it's his intense focus on a project, his competitiveness over a board game, or his silent problem-solving stare. Pause. Before you react, ask yourself this powerful question. What is the healthy version of this trait trying to protect or create for us? Maybe his silence is him gathering the focus needed to make the rent happen next month. Perhaps his ambition is fueled by a deep desire to give you a life of security and freedom. Once you can spot the noble intention behind the action, respond to that, not to the stereotype you've been conditioned to resent. Make it a conscious practice until August 2025. Every single time you're tempted to mock the masculine, swap the jab for genuine curiosity. Say things like, "It seems like you're really in your focus zone right now. I admire how you do that. Tell me what you're building." Or, "I see that competitive fire in your eyes. What part of you is that trying to sharpen?" Do this consistently. Watch him take a full, deep breath for what might be the first time in weeks. You're not just complimenting him, you're telling him, "I see you. I respect you. The man you are is welcome here." And that is the key that unlocks his heart. Stop redrawing the lines after he draws them. The second habit is a silent killer of a man's confidence and sense of agency. You ask for his leadership, but you refuse to follow. He says, "I need 30 minutes to myself after work to decompress before I can engage with the family." You agree, but the moment he walks in the door, you greet him with a stream of logistical questions, a story about your horrible day, or tears over a household crisis. Or you ask him to handle the family budget. But then you question and veto every single decision with, "But I found a TikTok that says we should be doing it this way." In both scenarios, the message you're sending is painfully clear. His word is written in pencil, yours in permanent Sharpie. His boundaries are suggestions, but your feelings are emergencies. Masculine energy is directional. It needs structure and relies on trust to move forward effectively. When a man sets a boundary or makes a decision, he is drawing a line in the sand, not to control you, but to create order and safety for the both of you. When you constantly wiggle that line, erase it, or draw a new one right over it, you create chaos where he is trying to build structure. His directional energy hits a rubber wall and bounces back. The engine stalls. He is left with two choices. Either go completely limp and stop trying to lead altogether. Fine, you handle it. Or blow up in frustration to try and force the boundary to hold. Either way, you've just taught him that his leadership is incompetent and his word is meaningless to you. The solution is deceptively simple. Honor the boundary once it's set, even and especially when it cramps your style. If his gym night collides with your spontaneous brunch plans, wish him a great lift and schedule the mimosas for Sunday. If he set a spending cap on the car fund, pin the vacation inspo pictures to your private Pinterest board until the goal is met. Treat his word with the same respect you expect him to treat yours. This doesn't mean you can't have a voice. The key is to negotiate. Before the line is drawn, not after. If his plan doesn't work for you, discuss it as a team. But once the decision is made, let it stand. Until August 2025, make this your mantra. Treat every boundary he sets like a parking meter. You can either feed the meter by respecting it, or you can get the ticket in the form of his withdrawal and resentment. But you can't kick the meter and hope it forgets the rule. When you start honoring his lines, you will literally feel him straighten up. It's the feeling of someone handing him the keys back to his own life, and he will start driving the relationship forward again. Quit the emotional fire hose or the freeze-out. The third habit is about emotional regulation, and it exists at two dangerous extremes. Picture a toggle switch. On one side, you have the emotional fire hose, on the other, the deep freeze. Option A, the fire hose. Every single micro-feeling, every anxiety, every flicker of irritation you experience throughout the day is immediately turned into a 3-hour, unfiltered telenovela that he's expected to star in. Option B, the freeze-out. Any hint of emotional vulnerability. From him, a tear during a sad movie, a crack in his voice when he talks about his father, is met with an awkward silence, a dismissive man-up glare, or a swift change of subject. Both of these extremes are toxic to the masculine container. The masculine energy in a relationship is designed to be a safe space for the feminine's emotional flow. But it is not a dam designed to hold back a tsunami. When you hit him with the fire hose, you teach him that your emotions equal chaos. His problem-solving brain gets overwhelmed by the flood of feelings that have no clear problem to solve. So he checks out as a survival mechanism. Conversely, when you employ the freeze-out, you teach him that his vulnerability is a source of shame. You confirm the societal message that he's been hearing his whole life. Don't be weak, don't cry, handle it. So, he armors up. Either way, whether by flood or by drought, intimacy dies of thirst. Here's the powerful middle path. Before you vent, take a breath and ask yourself one critical question. Is this mine to process or ours to solve? If the emotion is yours to process, meaning it's about your insecurities, your past triggers, or your bad day at work, then process it first. Journal it out, call your best friend, go for a run, dance it out in the kitchen, regulate your own nervous system. Then, when you're calm, you can bring him the headline, not the entire chaotic weather report. Instead of a 45-minute monologue about your coworker, you can say, "I had a really draining day at work and could use a hug." If the issue is genuinely one for the two of you to solve together, then package it in a neat, clear, solvable request. For example, instead of, "I'm freaking out about money, we're going to be homeless, you're not doing enough," try this. "I'm feeling anxious about our savings goal for this year. Can we sit down for 20 minutes tomorrow night and look at the budget together?" Think of sharing your emotion with him like serving espresso. It should be bold, quick, and delivered in a proper cup, not sprayed all over the room. Until August 2025, make regulate, then relate your daily practice. You will be amazed at how fast he leans in when he knows that connecting with you won't result in a storm landing directly on his head. If you're sitting there thinking, "Yikes, I've done all 3 of these this week," please do not spiral into shame. This is not about blame, it's about awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. If you are ready to take that step and reset your dynamic, drop the word reset in the comments below. I'll DM you my free 5-step polarity checklist so you can start repairing the connection tonight. And if this is hitting home, if this message feels like it was meant for you, please smash that like button and share it. Someone you know might be in the same boat and need this exact same nudge. I want you to screenshot this, put it on your bathroom mirror, and make it your mission until August 2025. 1. Welcome his masculine energy instead of mocking it. See the intention behind the action. 2. Respect the boundaries he draws after they are spoken. Create safety through consistency. 3. Share your emotions in digestible doses. Regulate first, then relate. These aren't just small tweaks. They are fundamental shifts in how you relate to the man you love. Do these 3 things consistently, and the guy who once looked at you like you single-handedly invented sunsets will start looking at you like that again. The polarity that creates that intoxicating spark doesn't stay fresh on its own. You have to actively cultivate it. It's a choice. You can continue with the habits that are causing him to suffer in silence, or you can choose the habits that call him upward. The time is ticking. The relationship you miss is still possible, but it's waiting for you to make the first move. Choose the habits that call him home.